What's going on? No, don't change the channel. It's me. It's your friend. It's Kim. I just got the hair straight. Don't go away. It's me. It's not Sierra. I know we look alike and whatnot, but it's not Sierra. just I'm just playing with you guys. Welcome everyone to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is where we set oppression ablaze. I'm actually thinking of changing up my tagline a little bit to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Is actually, of course, inspired by the great podcaster Kelechi Okafor, because Kelechi says her podcast is a love letter to herself. I was thinking about it. I'm like, what is this podcast? What is it really? And I said, it's my resignation letter to white supremacy. It's my resignation letter to capitalism. It's my resignation letter to patriarchy. You guys know why? Because no one's ever going to give me another job after they see this goddamn show on YouTube. So yeah, this is my big twice weekly I quit. In case they didn't already know that I had quit. Watch this show. You will know for certain I have resigned. I have resigned to the regular mainstreaming broadcasting of the bullshit, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about on today. I'm so deeply appreciative that you guys are able to join me and to make some time. I had the broadcast popped up here somewhere. Now I've lost it. There we go. Hey, my hair looks nice. It looks good. Sorry. Yeah. So, good show in store for you today. There's a story locally here in DC that I hope actually becomes a national story. And I saw some prominent people on social media talking about it and picking it up. It has to do with a 13-year-old Black child in Washington who over the weekend was very tragically gunned down. Here's the rub though. The police know who shot this 13-year-old boy. Not only have they not made an arrest, they're not even disclosing the person's name. What? Yes, the child's name is Karan Blake, and we're going to talk about who killed Karan Blake and how come no one has been arrested yet for killing Karan Blake. That's coming up in a bit. One of the first stories I want to talk about has to do with mental health and social media as it pertains to kids, okay? But also as it pertains to us adults, because as some of you probably have noticed, and big up, can I say, Northern Witch, Didi, Infinite Content, Rich El Dios, Rich the God, up there in BX, my folks be tagging me on stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that on Twitter. I have not been the most engaged on Twitter in several months because social media can be a bit wearing on my brain, i.e. my mental health, even to some extent my own self-image. A lot of what plagues teens and young people with social media, I have to tell you guys, as adults, is there a reason why we think we are excluded from the same type of shit that the children are experiencing on social media? Shit, it's actually maybe worse a little bit. Well, maybe that's a lie. It's not worse for us because at least we know the difference. You know what I'm saying? We analog girls in the digital world. You feel me? We know when your phone wasn't on your hip all the time, 24/7. So we know the difference. So anyway, I'm gonna get into that in just a moment. But first, before we get into that, Will, do you have the abortion fund thing? But what's it? I meant to ask you before we went live. If you don't have it right away, that's cool. I can come back to it later. But we do have a new. You got it? Look at Will.
Yeah, I got it.
Look, Will on point with his. It's January, gang, and so long as abortion remains illegal for pregnant people in half the states in this wayward fucking country, we have to do what we can in ways big and small to support those people and to support the organizations on the ground that are helping pregnant folks get access to abortion care. So this month for January 2023, our first abortion fund that we will be supporting for the new year is the Missouri Abortion Fund. There are, I believe, 0 abortion clinics in the state of Missouri. There was one in St. Louis. They closed that bitch. They had one of those trigger laws on the books there in Missouri. So when the Supreme Court decision came down last spring, Missouri's trigger law went into effect. The last abortion clinic closed there. Now, Missourians, I think, are more fortunate than those living down in the Delta, for example. Remember the story we told about the teenager from Mississippi who was raped, became pregnant, and then had to travel several, and I think specifically 700 miles to Illinois to get abortion care. Now, Missouri is in the middle of two abortion friendly states: Illinois to the west, well, follow my cardinal directions. Illinois to the east, on the other side of St. Louis, and on to the west, Kansas is right there on the other side of Kansas City. Now, for everybody living in the middle, it's going to be a little bit of a ride. But the Missouri Abortion Fund is here to help, and we are here to help the Missouri Abortion Fund. So, as you guys may or may not know, this channel is supporting an abortion fund every month to the tune of $50 a month. And we are asking our viewers and our Fire fam to join us in at least pledging $5, preferably directly to the abortion fund. But I'm telling you, for you guys who have sent money like via super chats and even, the cash apps, etc., and you've said, hey, this $10 is for the abortion fund, we have included it when we've made our donations. So the Missouri Abortion Fund is who we are supporting for the month of January. Please make a note of it. And special thanks to all of you who helped us raise money for several abortion funds towards the end of 2022. The Baltimore Abortion Fund, the Arkansas Abortion Support Fund, the Indigenous Rising Women's Abortion Fund, Chelsea's Fund in Wyoming, and the Kentucky Health Justice Network are all places that Burn It Down with Kim Brown sent bucks last year. And you guys helped us do that. So we got to keep doing that, unfortunately. So that will continue to do. So there is that. Who's in here? Hey, Anna. Oh, also special thanks to Anna Hart, Mama Lorraine, and everybody who came out yesterday and participated in the January Around the Fire Disability Support Chat. I want to thank everybody that came through. Big up to Shirley, big up to Kofi, big up to Alice, big up to Kat. The sister who's usually in the disability support chats, but I don't think her actual name matches up with her screen name, so I can never remember it. But out there in Colorado, you know who I'm talking about. she got a lot of fire with her. I love her. So thank you all so much for coming out. We do these every second Monday of the month, and if you would like to participate, you can reach out to Anna. She's usually in the chat, and Anna and Mama Lorraine have done an outstanding job of organizing these support chats, these additional support chats, and the support chats for the caregivers. So thank you guys so much for participating. Hey, Donnie. I see Dawn in here. I see Wendy. Happy belated birthday to Holly Horn. Happy belated birthday to Courtney the Stallion. I am the grandest of grand dickheads for not wishing you guys a more timely birthday. Court, I want to send you something, Court, because you are a mod of all mods. You and Latif. I love you guys so much. So, Courtney, I'm sorry I'm so belated and wishing you happy birthday. I got to remember Courtney's birthday is at the end of the year. Courtney is a Capricorn, right? Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so let's get to the first story. And I like this story. I said somebody has to do something because the social media has a grip on the psyche, not only of the children, but truly of the minds of the adults. This is not just in this country, this is worldwide. We have all your elderly relatives are very concerned about what's on Facebook. Okay, they're very concerned about what's being posted on Facebook. Who is saying what? Your college age child, perhaps, or adult child post college age, all concerned about what Elon is doing on Twitter. Your tween and your teenager, addicted to the tick of the takada and adult to stopida. That's ridiculous, right? So, a school system in Seattle. Let's pop up that article if we could, Will. This is from the USA of Today. A public school district in Seattle has filed a novel lawsuit against the tech giants behind TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat, seeking to hold them accountable for the mental health crisis among the youth. I like where this is going. Not certain I agree, but I like it. Seattle Public Schools, that is, filed the lawsuit Friday in U.S. District Court. The 91-page complaint says that the social media companies have created a public nuisance by targeting their product towards children. It blames them for worsening the mental health crisis, for worsening mental health and behavioral disorders, including anxiety, depression, disordered eating, and cyberbullying, making it more difficult to educate students and forcing schools to take steps such as hiring additional mental health professionals. Is that what the schools are doing? Hold on, I'm sorry. Including hiring additional mental health professionals, developing lesson plans about the effects of social media, and providing additional training to teachers. Quote, defendants have successfully exploited the vulnerable brains of youth, hooking tens of millions of students across the country into positive feedback loops of excessive use and abuse of defendants' social media platforms, the complaint said. Worse, the content that the defendants curate and direct towards youth is too often harmful and exploitative. Find the lie. I don't know if they have legal standing for this, guys. And then the article goes on to say, again, this is in USA Today. It says that the COVID-19 pandemic, it helped to exacerbate this. It says, oh, wait, that's a separate article that says teenage brains might be aging faster due to stress from the pandemic, study finds. Okay. That's a separate study. Okay. So back to this particular issue. So while federal law, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, helps protect online companies from liability arising from what third party users post on their platform. The lawsuit argues that the provision does not protect the tech giant's behavior in this case. Scroll. Quote, it says, plaintiff is not alleging that the defendants are liable for what third parties have said on defendants' platform, but rather defendants' own conduct, the lawsuit says. Defendants affirmatively recommend and promote harmful content to youth, such as pro anorexia and eating disorder content. Yep, we found that to be the case in a recent study. In an emailed statement Sunday, Google and Snapchat said that they had worked to protect young people who use their platforms. Quote, Snapchat launched an in app support system called Here For You back in 2020 to help those who might be having mental health or emotional crisis find expert resources. And it also enabled settings that allow parents to see whom their children contact with on Snapchat, though not the content of those messages. Interesting. It lets you see who your kid's talking to, but not what is being said. This is on Snapchat. It says it has also recently expanded content about the new 988 suicide and crisis phone systems in the United States. I think that this could be a good thing ultimately, because who is responsible here, guys? Now, ultimately, the parents, in my opinion, are responsible. But I have to, take a step back and acknowledge my deficit in this area. I am not a parent. I'm sure raising children in the year 2023 is hard. It's hard. I'm sure it is very tempting to, number one, acquiesce to your children when they want a smartphone or a smart device, or when they want to download social media platforms and they want to engage and build their profiles. I'm sure the kids is putting the press on the parents for all of those things. But at the same time, guys, if your kid is going to press you out, like what if your kid is pressing you out for, a sip of beer, or if your kid is pressing you out for a hit off that J, like your kid is pressing you out for a THC gummy. No, you don't give the kids those things, because those are not things for kids to have, because they could, ultimately be bad for the children. I feel as though this generation of kids, they are literal digital dope fiends. Okay, they are digital dope fiends. I've seen it happen, especially with toddler sized kids, right? Because their parents give them the devices so often. Try to take that iPad away. Take that iPad away from little Kaylin and watch what the fuck happens. Little Kaylin's gonna wow the fuck out. You need to run me back my iPad right now. Little Kaylin's gonna be ready to fight and do all kinds of shit. But that's how dope fiends act. That is how drug addicts act. Like, you can't take the thing away from them, because it's giving them too much pleasure and they become way too accustomed to it. So now, here we are in 2023. When did the smartphone become very, proliferated, and then all the kids had them? Let's say 2000s, early 2000s, whatever, mid early 2000s, the aughts sometime. Yeah, we got a whole generation now. Dope fiend on devices, on digital devices. And of course, the educators are seeing it. And there is some responsibility to be borne here by these social media tech giants. Google, YouTube, not only are they tracking all the movements your children make, creating advertising profiles upon them, but they are intentionally pushing more harmful images towards these kids. It's been documented. Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I know Facebook and Instagram are the same company under Meta, but they've been called out numerous times on this, to the point that where they have offered up some sort of parental controls. But y'all, I don't know how well those parental controls work. Kids are smart. these 21st century kids know how to get around shit. They be running laps around y'all 20th century parents. I know. I believe this. I believe these 21st century kids is running laps around you 20th century parents. And I am sympathetic. I am. But um this is a real serious problem here, because as they mentioned, or was a separate related article mentioned, that during the pandemic, all of these mental health crises were exasperated. Children felt higher levels of anxiety, greater levels of depression. Part of that was due to the public health policy failures of this American government to properly address COVID, to stem and mitigate the transmission of COVID. So, we didn't have over 1 million people dying from this. So, the children didn't have to be depressed because they were grieving their grandparents, or in some cases, their own parents, close family members. People in the community whom they knew and loved died as a result of this disease. Of course, kids' mental health went down as a result of that, as the collective went down, right? But the children are more vulnerable here. Um, the rates of teen suicide have exploded over the past 3 years, made worse by the pandemic. And I actually think it was starting to trend downward 2018, 2019. But then when the pandemic hit, it went up significantly, quite a bit. And now that these kids have returned to school, truly, in my opinion, no more safe than they were from when when the COVID was, quote unquote, at its peak, because nothing has really changed in the schools. I'm guessing the COVID is still running through the schools with influenza, with RSV, etc. Maybe we're not seeing the same levels of death, but people are still experiencing the effects of dealing with this still ongoing pandemic. And I'm applauding the Seattle Public School District for wanting to take it to the tech giants and at least get it on the record, get it on the stated legal record, not just through these studies, which are valid and I'm sure will be presented throughout the course of these proceedings if the lawsuit is allowed to continue forward. um But we have to really take a step back here, guys, and acknowledge the ways in which social media is actually a demerit. It's detrimental to our society. I do think that there are benefits to social media in terms of organizing, political organizing, especially. There's so many issues and cases and movements that, but for Twitter specifically, I would likely have not have known about it. Many of us would not have been able to see what was occurring on the ground in Ferguson, on the ground in Minneapolis when it was live. You know what I'm saying? Like we needed that, and social media helped to foster that. But the negative aspects of it, what it does to kids, we talked about this a little bit on the Remix Morning Show, because I think I was talking to Kamal and I said, when I was a youth, I got bullied a little bit, but guess what? I got to go the fuck home, okay? And my bullies did not come with me in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different set of challenges that these kids are dealing with now. I mean, the bullying doesn't end if your child is in fact being bullied. They go home and still get bullied on their phone, on their social media app, on the computer. It is crazy. So why is it that we in this country allow things that are knowingly harmful? And it reminds me of a conversation I think I can recall asking adults when I was a child. For example, if cigarettes kill people, then why are cigarettes allowed? Like, if guns kill people, then why are guns allowed? Like, it's the depravity of capitalism. So long as it turns a buck, it doesn't matter if it's harmful. It doesn't matter if it actually kills people or drives people to tragically kill themselves. If it's profitable, everybody makes their choices. Just the price of freedom. Everybody's allowed to make money any way that they see fit, even if it is harmful to society as a whole. Move along, Will. Pop up that Philadelphia Inquirer article, because while I'm applauding the Seattle school system for taking some legal action, and again, I am not sure if that case, it seems like they're using a very interesting legal argument. Again, I only have my Juris Doctorate in law and order. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can run you all Jack McCoy's arguments and theories and all his case precedents. I can tell you all that shit. So in my esteemed opinion, I don't know what kind of grounds that case is going to have. I'm not even sure exactly what they're seeking in terms of damages. But it'll be interesting. I support it though. So yeah, let's take a look at this piece in the Inquirer, because it kind of dovetailed with what I was going to talk about today. And it says how to take a break from social media. And again, it goes on to say that the average person, according to some studies, are on social media apps about 2.5 hours. I think that's I think that's a low I think that's a low read. I think that's a low read. Because sometimes when my Apple device wants to run me my weekly reports and tell me, I'm sorry, let me sit up. When my Apple device wants to run me my weekly reports and tell me how long I averaged out on my phone, I know I'm not always on social media whilst on my phone, but I guarantee you it's probably more than 2 hours. Even though I ain't tweeting, I'm lurking, my niggas. How the tweets is watching. Don't think because I ain't speaking, I ain't seeing, because I'm is. But anyway, um, part of what this article goes on to talk about is the ways in which, number one, you should probably be putting down your phone from time to time. But they quoted the director, hold on, of the University of Pennsylvania's Digital Wahoo's It Center. Hold on, let me find my man's. My man's had the Southeast Asian names. You know I love me some Southeast Asian. They got delicious food. They got beautiful brown skinned men with silky black hair. I mean, find the flaw. Find the flaw. There is none. I'm sorry that y'all let it. Anyway, yes, I find Southeast Asian men attractive. They're beautiful. Anyway, it talks about steps that you can take to reduce your social media consumption, including hiding your social media apps on your phone. No one's doing that. But one thing I do, though, I have done is that I turned off the notifications for Twitter, for Instagram, some for Instagram, and but I leave my notifications on for YouTube, but Twitter I turned them off, and I don't even have Facebook on my phone. So there's that. But as many ways as social media is detrimental for children, please believe that it is equally detrimental for adults. The difference is we may have a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more savoir faire, but we are still as equally influenced and manipulated by the images and shit that we see. Okay. I know a lot of y'all think that y'all friends is living their best life. They living their best life out there on the internets. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people's out here faking the funk. Please believe it. Niggas is after paying for vacations, and I'm not dissing. That's not a diss. I'm just saying it may not be as Instagram sparkly as the Instagram sparkly image would foretell, right? I mean, shit is maybe not always what it seems. Talking about adults here, okay? And I can fall into it too. One of the reasons, not related to social media, but kind of related to social media, because to me, it's these things are very blurry and betwixt each other. But one reason specifically that I don't watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta or Potomac, or none of them actually, but specifically because the Housewives of Atlanta and Potomac, I watched the first two seasons of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and it was wild. But what I found myself being drawn to, and when I clocked it, I had to check myself. I'm like, I'm really drawn into this aesthetic, right? I'm drawn into these powerful, assertive black women who are made up to a T, hair flawless, makeup flawless, outfit flawless, life flawless, except for the drama. You know what I'm saying? But I found myself coveting those looks, but then simultaneously feeling depressed that bitch, I don't can't afford no fucking Prada. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't Hermes, bitch, where? You feel me? Like it turns into a sort of not self-hating, maybe self-hating is speaking is saying it too much, but that aspirational materialism, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't like that I was aspiring to want those things, and I'm like, I don't think, wait, hold on, do I really want those things, or are those things being superiorly marketed to my psyche and to my visual stimulation to make me, want to look like that or whatever, and whatever. But no. No. But that also comes across on social media as well. You know what I'm saying? People come across all the way put together, all the way made up, and you just look and you're like, wow, one day, one day when I grow up, maybe I'll be able to have that. But chances are the way all of that is being presented to you is smoke and mirrors anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like people are airbrushed, people are nipped and tucked, people are BBL'd out here. Like everything is not on the up and up, and people are not going to tell you that this shit is filtered and touched up, and yes, I had surgery 3 months ago and this, that, and the third. No. So as much as of a detriment social media is on kids, it has the same effect on men, women, non-binaries. I'm certain. So knowing that, knowing that, what is it that we can do? Because, for example, us doing this YouTube show. If I was a good YouTuber, I'd fucking be on Twitter every day. I'd be arguing with people. I'd be blasting out clips. Like I would be doing all of that engagement on the social media platforms. I am personally unable to because it makes me sad. It brings me down. It does not bring me joy. Like Marie Kondo said, keep only what brings you joy. Social media, unfortunately, does not bring me joy. Every time I log on to the shit, it's always some shit. I'm like, God damn, did I need to see this on today? I don't know. I don't know. And I'm trying to again get back into the swing of things. I am out of my news hound cycle. As again, that's why I appreciate y'all tagging me on shit because there's some shit I just don't be seeing. I ain't going front. Because again, I'm not spending as much time and I'm not as engaged as I was. But that is strictly out of self-protection. You feel me? Like I'm coming to an age now, or maybe I've been at this age, who knows? Sure. Do I want material success? Yes. Am I willing to sacrifice my peace of mind for it? No. I'm no, I'm not. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, the only person that's going to be here to sit with me is me. And if I drive myself crazy wondering, am I getting enough engagement? Oh my God, I only have 2 likes on this tweet. Oh my God, there's no one liking us on Facebook. Jesus Christ. How do people do this to themselves? How do people do this to themselves? So I think it's imperative that number one, for your own personal social media use, if you find that maybe there you have issues with coveting what other people have, or you just want to engage with people, or even worse, you're trolling people from a burner account. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're gonna say it, if you got something to say to somebody, say it with your chest, say it with your face, say it with your government name. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be doing that to people on, I mean, troll people with your face. Not to say that I am above trolling. I am not. I will not troll from a burner. However, I will troll from Kim Brown live at at Kim Brown live. Ask David Simon bitch ass. Who the fuck? Oh, I saved that for a second. Hold on, hold on. So anyway, I said all that to say that was a time on social media, by the way, when that motherfucker tried to sick his fucking troll army on me and Justine and Lisa and Taya. You know why? Because he's a stinky whore. Stinky, light bulb headed, scrotum faced ass whore. Nigga can write though. he can write his ass off, but he's a bitch ass nigga. Make no mistake about that. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to go off on a David Simon is a bitch ass nigga tangent. It happens sometimes. But anyway, those are my stories. That's it. Well, let me tell you guys real quick about David Simon. Hold on. Justine Barron tagged me on a tweet, and I laughed so giddily. I texted Justine. I didn't even reply to her tweet because when I saw her tweet, I just laughed with glee and giddy. Hold on, let me find it because remember, you guys remember I did a show. It's on his channel. And I think it's called "The Cops Told David Simon That Sean Suiter Killed Himself," and that dumbass motherfucker believed it. That may not be the official title of the channel of the episode, but it's close. It's close. But apparently, what is this, Justine? Justine wrote, this is the tweet that Justine wrote. Hold on, I'm gonna read it to y'all. It says, Baltimore State's Attorney Ivan Bates comes out in support of Sean Suiter's death being a homicide, not a suicide. David Simon is not on Twitter to respond, and then she tagged me because Justine is a G and I love her to pieces. So this is the screenshot that she took of an article, and it says, new Baltimore State's Attorney Ivan Bates said recently that he believes Sean Suiter's death is a homicide. In a November interview for the To Be More podcast hosted by former police spokesperson T.J. Smith, oh shit, Bates acknowledged that he knew Suiter and that Suiter's attorney, Jeremy Eldridge, is one of his best friends. Oh shit, I didn't know that. And that he and Eldridge has, quote, had a lot of conversations and dialogue about the case. And he's quoted here. It says, quote, for me, I saw the medical examiners said that it was a murder, and I still believe it's a murder, Bates said. I know what other people may say, but I know how I feel and I know how I look at it. That's Ivan Bates, the new Baltimore State's attorney. Who knows what he's going to do with that, if anything. But David Simon can suck a fat one, because I bet you he won't clap at Ivan Bates the same way he tried to clap at me, Justine, Lisa, Taya, and others. Bitch ass nigga. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me go to the chat here. What's going on, y'all? Kamal is correct. If you guys saw the Remix Morning Show this morning, Kamal said, "I will never go mainstream because of what I say," and he's right. He is correct, and that's cool. And that's cool. This is my resignation letter. I quit. I quit this bitch every single show. Make no mistake about that. How come I can never find where my people them are at? Because it's ridiculous. Everything's ridiculous. But anyway, Shirley, I saw you in here. Thank you so much for tuning in. To all our West Coast people, Anna, Mama Lorraine, Franny Francais, Black Magic. Who else is out there? Cali Connects. I haven't seen Comrade Kwame in here in a while, and nor have I seen Jonathan Guerrero, but that's okay. We still got love for him, y'all. Just be safe out there in California. The weather is a madness. We see that the earth is clapping back. And I hate to see Cali get it this bad. I saw the thing from the Santa Barbara, was it police sheriffs? They had a tweet circulating where they were ordering residents of Montecito, where Oprah and them live, and Prince Harry and Meghan, where they live. They had a immediate evacuation order. They said, get the fuck out right now. Not now, right now. I said, good God. That's what it's going to take, though. It's going to take for climate change to decimate rich areas before rich people get the fucking point. And guess what? They still not going to get the fucking point. So there's that. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Tyler. Peace Infinite. Okay, good. Folks is in here. Friday Francais is in here also. Hello, hello. I know you need the rain, Gannibal. I know, but baby, y'all don't need 100 inches of snow. Jesus Christ. That's the thing. In California, there's no middle. You know what I mean? It's either gorgeous, it's either heaven, or it's literally hell, or it's literally fire and brimstone. It's literally wildfires and bomb cyclones, or it's gorgeous. I couldn't live in California. It's too much uncertainty. But when I see catastrophic weather events like that, I'm always thinking about disabled people and people who may not, can get up and go, who may not be able to evacuate immediately, for our wheelchair users, for people who are using oxygen tanks, just what is the plan for the disabled and the elderly and the sick? We got to learn how to swim, disabled folks. I guess. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Really quick, if you'd like to support the channel, y'all see I got my hair did. This shit wasn't cheap. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But if you want to support the channel, you can do so very easily. Become a patron, patreon.com/BIDWKB. You can become a member here to the channel as well. Both of those options are monthly, sustainable, but it's only like $2 a month on the low tier. So, maybe y'all got $2. We'd appreciate it. Or if you just want to send us $2, you could do that via the super chats, or you can do it via the applications, Cash App, $ BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB. Shout out to Brendan W. Brendan, did I already thank you for your Venmo? Rosalba, thank you for your Cash App. PayPal.me/BIDWKB. I think that's it. That's plenty. So thank you guys so much for the support. We also have merch available for sale on the channel as well. Go to the About section and click on our merch page. So the next story I want to bring you guys is very sadly reminiscent of a lot of, or at least two, very prominent cases in the past decade that have brought people out to the streets, that have raised, I hope, more of a consciousness of the ways in which Black children are under attack, right? An argument can easily be made that all children in America are under attack. America eats its young. But you can imagine, and you don't really have to imagine very hard, that for Black children and brown and Native children, those attacks are usually more intense and felt more harshly. So this past Saturday, 13-year-old Karan Blake was in, I believe, his neighborhood of Brookland, Washington. Brookland. Sounds a lot like Brooklyn, but it's not Brooklyn. It's Brookland in DC. Karan was out late, reported to be with friends. A homeowner came out of their house. Again, this was very early in the morning. Allegedly saw Karan and his friends trying to open cars. What this person told the police is that he had a confrontation with this 13-year-old, and the kid looks 13, okay? He ain't no 6'2", 185-pound 13-year-old. No, the kid looked 13. Said the homeowner said he had a confrontation with Karan, mind you, outside of his home. Okay, Karan was not in his house. Karan was not even breaking into his car. If he was breaking into cars at all, this is just what the man said. And somehow Karan ended up dead, shot to death. Okay, and the city has a lot of questions because the person that shot this 13-year-old, not only have they not been arrested, they have not been identified, and the community has a lot of questions. And the DC police chief, Robert Conti, actually, right before I went live, had a press conference where he gave some small updates. But I want you guys to see a couple of things here just to put stuff in to a bit of a context for you, because the way that this is being framed by the media, I really don't like it, because they are trying to juxtapose the media, that is, the local DC media here. There has been a spate of tragically, of these teenagers being killed. More often than not, at least as reported by the news and as determined by Metropolitan Police, that, a lot of these shootings are peer on peer. These are disputes in which these kids are ending up shooting each other. That's not the case here. There's also been a lot of quote unquote violent crimes, such as robberies and specifically carjackings here in DC, that have been committed by young people. Okay. So the We Need More Cops Brigade is trying to use this murder of this child, who, again, nobody can say what he was actually doing. They did determine that he was not carrying any weapons, he was unarmed. But they're trying to frame this through the lens of, well, is this what residents are about to start doing as a result of the city's inability to get a hold of property crimes? I saw that and I said, what? Hold on. Hold the fuck up. So let's go, Will, with the first clip, if we could. Because what's particular about this case is that the police are being very cagey with the release of the information. And when the police don't release information, people are left to speculate. And what's being speculated was either the person that shot Karan is white, or they themselves are law enforcement, or somehow politically connected, which is plausible. Let's take a look at this first package. I believe this, both of the, what were, okay, let's take a look at this first thing. This is from Fox 5 DC. And again, I just want you to pay attention, especially towards the end, when they talk about what Karan might have allegedly been doing the night that he was murdered by a stranger. Let's take a look.
Police have not arrested or identified the man who shot and killed 13-year-old Karan Blake. D.C. police say they are now working with the U.S. Attorney's Office to determine if there will be any criminal charges. Meanwhile, tonight we are learning more about this young man who was killed. An email to parents from Karan Blake's principal describes him as a quiet and inquisitive sixth grader who loved football and fashion. It says he leaves behind his mother and 3 sisters and the Brookland Middle School community is grieving.
It's a tragedy.
Ward 5 council member Zachary Parker says he's been trying to find out what police know about the deadly shooting here on Quincy Street that took Karan's life.
And I'm at a loss for words of what would possess a resident to take matters into their own hands and take the life of a young person.
He says he's been hearing a lot from constituents since taking office less than a week ago.
One is just the amount of crime and incidents happening across the city. The other is also related to this case and how little information is being released about the person that took Karan's life. And so I'm joining in neighbors and calling on MPD to release information and to hold the individual accountable.
Police say the man involved owns a home in the area, that he came out and confronted Karan and ultimately shot him multiple times. It happened just before 4 in the morning Saturday. Police say there's no indication at this point that Karan was armed. They say they found a stolen car in the area linked to Karan, and neighbors report seeing 2 other juveniles running away.
Say pop, pop.
Neighbors heard the gunfire overnight.
Normally, this is a nice, quiet, easygoing neighborhood. And I've been here about 30 years.
Police say the gun used is legally registered, and the shooter was performing CPR on the boy when they arrived on scene. They also say the man had
Okay, so that was the package there from Fox 5. Damn, what was the last part she said? Will, what was the last part? Cut off right at the end. But so did you guys hear what the reporter said that police said, a phrase that should perk your ears always. Police said that there was a stolen car in the area, or a car in the area that was linked to Karan. Linked to him how? Like, linked to him how? You have to be more specific here, because what you're insinuating is that the child stole the car, right? Or something else, but you're definitely insinuating something. What the fuck does that even mean? The car was linked to the child. Was it registered to him? Was it in his name? No, because he was 13. Was it a family member's car? I mean, I need more information, because these inferences are misleading. You know what I'm saying? And they're intended to take us to a specific place of assuming criminality about this child. Okay, I'm not going to do that, because by all intents and purposes, by as described by the kids' teachers and whatnot, that this child was a quote unquote good kid. They said Karan was quiet. They his teachers described him as quiet and inquisitive. Now, I'm not saying that quiet and inquisitive people sometimes don't do goofy things, but whatever goofy thing he may or may not have been doing, it did not warrant his life being taken by some motherfucker who didn't know him, and who clearly was not being directly affected by whatever Quran was out there doing. Okay. Now, I take a little bit of issue here with a 13-year-old being out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care if it's Saturday, Friday, Sunday. I don't care if it's summertime. I don't care. Like, my 13-year-old would not be out at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. But again, him being out does not mean that he deserves to be murdered. But at the same time, there's nothing out in the streets for a 13-year-old at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So I need to know why he was out there. Okay. Even if he was, like, I suspect, doing virtually nothing that could have warranted this, he should have been home. He absolutely should have been home. Like, make no mistake about that. But him not being home does not make him at fault for him being murdered. I want us to take a look at an excerpt from the press conference with DC Mayor Muriel Bowser. Now, I don't really care for Muriel, okay? I don't really care for Muriel. Muriel's very much a corporate mayor, okay? Just think Keisha Lance Bottoms, but hair not as laid, okay? like Keisha Lance Bottoms, for all of her flaws, her hair was laid with a T at the end, late. Every time Keisha Lance Bottoms got on TV, Keisha Lance Bottoms' hair was laid. Now, Muriel's hair do not be as comparably laid. And I don't care for Muriel, but I will say this. I can appreciate Muriel's overt irritation with the media, okay? Because she is always annoyed with reporters' questions. She doesn't have a problem conveying the fact that she's annoyed. And I wish I liked her so I could like that more about her. But this clip was posted to Fox 5 DC reporter Stephanie Ramirez's Twitter page. And again, this is her clip. She posted it. But I'm trying to be nice and generous here because the way she's going to open her question, or the clip at least that she herself posted, does not, it's not framed very well, because she's talking about this child being murdered in the same breath as she's talking about property crimes. Okay. There is no property that is worth the life of anybody, least of all a teenager, least of all a 13-year-old boy who was unarmed, and only by the word of this alleged shooter is alleged to have been doing anything wrong. Okay. So I want you guys to hear the reporters ask Muriel Bowser. And Muriel is a she's a smart politician. She is not on the side of Black Lives. So first of all, okay, I know she painted Black Lives Matter Plaza. Okay, that was what, and then that's about the extent that Muriel Bowser is going to give you for Black Lives, right? She's going to give a very pat politician answer. She stands with her police chief and her department. Make no mistake about that. Um, but she wasn't about to step in the shit. Let's put it that way. So let's take a look at this. So the opening question is coming from Stephanie Ramirez, and then you're going to hear Channel 4's Mark Seagraves, who I definitely take to be a stenographer of the mayor's office. Like, he always gives favorable coverage to the mayor. I'm like, God damn, Muriel must not do nothing wrong. Let the local TV news tell it, because they'll never report on her doing nothing wrong. But anyway. So check this out, y'all. Just be listening very sharply.
Major. I want to ask you a response to that, but first, how much of this happening, this incident, do you feel is because of the city's inability to address property crimes, such as what you're speaking about?
Well, first of all, we would rather be talking about a 13-year-old going to school today than to talk about him being killed on one of our streets. And I am incredibly saddened by that. I know that MPD is working on this investigation, and it's ongoing, and they are in consultation with the United States Attorney.
Can you speak to your conversation with police? Do you know, first off, if there is surveillance video
I
showing
can't
this
speak to
incident?
any of the facts.
Do you feel that the shooter should be identified, even if they're not charged?
That's part of the investigation, and it's ongoing.
Have any message to the community? Obviously, this
This is my message, and my message is, in any time, for any reason that there is a public safety concern, residents should call 911. Our operators are there to answer their calls, and the police are there to respond to any concerns that they have. So my message is to call 911. Yep.
Just staying on this topic for a second, the narrative that we know so far officially from police is that this resident who had a legally registered weapon with a concealed carry permit heard commotion outside late at night, went outside, confronted a 13-year-old, and shot him dead. Is that acceptable to you? I mean, somebody left their house, they weren't breaking into their house, they went outside to apparently try to protect property and use lethal force. And that doesn't happen every day in your city.
No, it doesn't. But also, Mark, I'm not going to talk about any of the facts, and I'm going to allow the police to complete their investigation.
Do you think using lethal force, a resident using, what's your message to residents who
I just told you, if you feel that there is a public safety issue in or around your home, call 911. That is the appropriate.
That's Mayor Muriel Bowser, who just won her third term. I believe they said Muriel set some history, made some history here in DC. The first ever 3-term Black woman mayor of a major city. That's her. That's her. Wanting to fund the police to the gills. Please believe it. Gentrify the fuck out of DC. Please believe it. That's Muriel. That's her right there. Um, Muriel's, like I said, smart politician. She won't go too deeply in this, but I will say, for I guess from her perspective, as much money as she gives to the police, she's like, please call 911. Please don't, please, we do not need any of this. But obviously, to me, the story of Karan Blake, which is still an unfolding and developing one, and our deepest condolences, surely, to Karan's family, to his friends, to his schoolmates, to his teachers, to people who knew Karan in the community. Our deepest condolences go out to you, and hopefully, the person who took Karan from his family will be held accountable. Now, I mean, literally, right before I went on the air, it's 8 o'clock. Right before I went on the air, Chief Robert Conti, Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Conti, black man, first black police chief, Robert Conti, got on TV and was angry. I mean, like I said, this happened so recently, I wasn't able to pull the clip, but Chief Conti was pissed off. He said there was a lot of misinformation being disseminated in the community. And he said he wanted to make a couple things very clear. He said what he could say, and I'm quoting him here. He said what he could say about the status of the investigation and the person who is known to have pulled the trigger that killed Karan Blake. He said he was African American, his words, he didn't say black, he said African American, male, and I think he said a resident of the city. I thought it was three things. He definitely said African American man. Oh, adult. African American, adult, male are the three descriptors of the shooter that Chief Conti confirmed before we went live here Tuesday evening. Okay. My guess and my assumption is that this person is either police or connected to the police, or somehow connected federally, politically. It's DC. You know what I'm saying? Um, and every corner of the city is gentrifying. So places that were the quote unquote hood have homes selling for 750,000, $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Next to people that have lived there for generation upon generation upon generation. So it's all kinds of speculation as to who this person could be. But when we look back on previous shootings, by, let's say, civilians at the time, even cases that I've covered here on the show, do you guys remember this case here in Washington about the library cop, right? Who was at a training at the library and being trained by a former, I believe, DC police lieutenant who was flirting with the young girl. She was like 25. This dumb motherfucker don't know his service pistol from his training pistol, pulled out his active gun and shot her in the chest, killed her. And they released him on his own recognizance. That motherfucker, I don't even think he had a bail. And her family's very upset about that. Should be. So the level of protection here clearly being offered by DC police tells me that this is a somebody. Whoever killed this young boy is a somebody. And the attempts to sully this young man's reputation are already out there. Oh, there was a stolen vehicle linked to Quran. Linked to Quran fucking how? How? Oh, the resident said that they saw him breaking into cars. So the person that shot and killed him is the one giving you this information. Is that right? It reminds me too tragically of both Tamir Rice, of Trayvon Martin, of 12-year-old Adam Toledo. We talked about Adam Toledo's case here on this show a while back in Chicago. The 12-year-old who was shot by Chicago Police Department and killed with his hands up. With his hands up. The cop lied initially and said that Adam had a gun. But the body cam footage came back and showed Adam hands up, hands empty, and they murdered him. We know what happened to Trayvon. He was shot and killed by vigilante fucking white supremacist George Zimmerman, for minding his fucking business. Trayvon, that is, minding his business. And of course, Tamir killed in Ohio by police while Tamir was handling a BB gun, which in open carry Ohio, Tamir was legally allowed to do. And it makes me very sad to hear that the person who killed Karan Blake was a black man. Was a black man. And our, not our, because I know we don't think that way. Because listen, if I saw somebody, well, if I had a car, let me put it that way. If I had a car, if I had a car and I saw somebody fucking around with the car, nigga, take the fucking car. Imagine me coming out of my house, like literally leaving the front door to go off of my porch to confront somebody on the street fucking with my shit. And another interview that happened on the news before I came on, they interviewed, Channel 4 did, interviewed Karan's grandfather. And Karan, this is what Karan's grandfather said. Karan's grandfather said, he said, even if the boys was messing with the cars, he said they wasn't messing with his car. They wasn't messing with the alleged shooter's car. So motherfuckers is out here trying to play hero, play cowboy over shit that don't even belong to them. And even if it did, it's property. You have insurance. I understand all that shit is a pain in the ass. I understand the levels of these kids. I mean, my mom and I, we were around Hyattsville, around PG Plaza. What going to Carolina Kitchen to pick up some lunch. And what did, lo and behold, what did we see? Because there's a movie theater right there. What did we see? Yeah, we saw kids trying cars. What do you think I was gonna get out and confront him? Excuse me, kid. Can't do that. Can't do that. I also wasn't gonna call the police on him either, because again, it's property, y'all. It's property. It's not. It's not that deep. And the amount of so-called violence, and I'm not here to downplay the levels of violence that have been experienced in cities like Washington D.C. and Baltimore. D.C. last year, the murder rate was 203. 203 people were murdered in D.C. That number was north of 300 in Baltimore. You are seeing these levels of violence and alleged property crime is because the disparities, the inequities are so great. We are looking at chasms of income inequity, wealth inequity, access to education and healthcare, increase in wages. Like these cracks in our system are now chasms. And unfortunately, the youth are bearing the brunt of a lot of that. If their mom and dad and guardians can't provide for them, or are too busy or too exhausted providing for them to give them proper supervision, man, these kids are going to be out here wilding. And instead of pouring all the money and the resources into the fucking cops, maybe keep some of these rec centers open 24/7. Maybe make sure that the kids have enough equipment. If you want to have the cops fucking guarding the children, let the cops be the goddamn security at the midnight basketball. Now, I know I'm definitely telling on my age right now with midnight basketball, because the Clinton administration thought that midnight basketball was going to solve everything. The problem is, again, they were too busy building jails and funding the police in addition to the midnight basketball, and it didn't quite work. If they'd have funded midnight basketball exclusively and similar related programs that could, benefit the community as a whole, instead of increase the carceral state in these respective cities and places, maybe the shit would have worked. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, the same amount of energy is not being given to other solutions outside of policing. And again, I hope that whoever killed Karan is going to be held accountable. And just as a FYI, in the District of Columbia, number one, gun laws are very strict. So I also think that the intentionality behind mentioning that this shooter had a legally registered firearm is to give the air of respectability and credibility to that person. Like, oh, this wasn't one of those street thugs with one of those illegal guns. No, this was a registered, legally purchased, blah blah blah. Okay, cop. Not necessarily a cop, but it's sounding copish, sounding very copish. Um, I just want I just want our kids to be valued out here. I don't want people looking at these kids and thinking that number one, they're scary, or thinking that number one or number two, that they're coming to harm you or take something from you. There these are crimes to me that can be of desperation. When kids are breaking in cars, when kids are stealing cars, some of that shit is fun, some of that, I mean, not fun for me and not fun for for the car owners, I know, but it's what they're doing for fun because they don't really have a lot of options, okay, and no one's clearly watching them and supervising them. And I don't want to lay any blame at the feet of those who are watching him. But goddamn, y'all, it's 10 o'clock home. Where the fuck your seeds at? You cannot have your teen, seriously, your brand new teen, your 13-year old out here running the streets because there's nothing out. There's nothing good out there for them. Okay, even if they are not doing anything wrong, someone could mean them harm. So it's important to know where your children are for their safety and for their own protection. Okay, so I just wanted to say that as well. So I'm gonna keep following this story as it pertains to Karan Blake. Um, I'm glad that people like Bernice King, Martin Luther King's daughter, and I think the Martin Luther King Foundation, they tweeted out something about Karan Blake. So if you see this story start to pick up some traction, pay attention to it, amplify it, spread it around, because it doesn't matter to me who killed this kid. If it was a white man, if it was the police, if it was a black man, I don't give a fuck who killed him. There has to be accountability for the murder of a 13-year-old, okay? A 13-year-old that was not doing you any harm, not meaning you any harm, who was unarmed and not being violent in any respect. Like, you cannot be allowed to just be out here walking the streets free as a bird when you murder 13-year-olds, when you come out of your home to go out of your way to confront a 13-year-old and you end up killing him. You don't get to be free. And in the city of DC, the only justified use of lethal force is if you were in fear for your life. There is no way that this man was in fear for his life, came out his house to confront this child, and in fear of his life. I don't think so. I don't think so. So, guys, that is the show. Come join me tomorrow on Status Quo, tomorrow at 5 p.m., Wednesdays, 5 p.m. I've got a good show for you all in store tomorrow. I would love for y'all to come and hang out. Also, tomorrow is the Remix Morning Show, so please join us tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Spoiler alert, Jacqueline Luqman is going to be on the show. Shh, don't tell her I said it. But Jackie's going to be on the show, as she said. She said it in the email, so I know Jackie's a fan favorite. All the views go up when Jackie when Jackie's on the show. It's like the 50 people who cannot stand me by myself, or me with Kalanji, or me and Kalanji Kamal, or whatever. When Jackie's on, they show up. It's like, oh, there y'all go. The Jackie contingent, the Jackie loyalist. We love them. So do all that. Guys, no show, no live show tomorrow, but we are going to, tomorrow, Friday. But we are going to have, I believe, another Kim's Lost Tape special. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the Jay-Z thing. Going back and looking at the chat comments was pretty funny. Shout out to Pookie Wood. Pookie would know that I would absolutely be asking Jay-Z different questions in 2022 than I was in 2001. Make no mistake about it. And the person who's going to be featured on this next installment of the Lost Tapes is also another person I would have asked totally different questions of in present times than at the time of that particular interview. So I'll let that be a surprise. And you guys can check that out on Friday. Kim's Lost Tapes, another installment. I don't believe we're going to have a live show next week, you guys. One of my family members is having surgery, so I have volunteered to assist in caregiving. So the show is going to be off, but we'll probably post clips So just set in your notifications, your bells and whatnot. So when new stuff happens, I'll be sure to let you guys know as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much. On behalf of Will and Molly, we appreciate y'all to pieces. COVID is still out here jumping on people. I was in the salon today, the only person wearing a mask. And guess who did not give a single fuck? It would be me. Cause I'm wearing my fucking mask. You know why? Because I haven't had fucking COVID. Okay. I have not had the COVID. I do not intend to get the COVID. I will continue to mask indoors. I suggest you do the same. That XBB.1.5, nigga. Don't be out here playing. Do not be out here playing with COVID, because that long COVID is a monster that you do not want. You do not want it. So do what you can to please protect yourself, others, and those that you love and care about. Okay. All right, you guys, have a good one. I'll see y'all later. See y'all later. Bye bye. Love you, Fire Fam. Woo!